Hey you, how are my beautiful, lovely planty people doing today? I hope you are great. I am doing well. It's a nice, seasonably warm day today, and I'm getting a little nervous that we're not going to have snow for Christmas. Which really isn't unusual because we haven't had snow on Christmas Day here in I don't know how long. That's all I want. Really, that's the only time I want snow. Christmas morning, maybe like coming in Christmas Eve when everybody's at home and safe. And then that beautiful, fluffy, magical snow lands on everything and everything's sparkly and all the lights. I really enjoy Christmas. If that wasn't super apparent. Anyway, that's not why you're here today. Here today, we have some things I want to talk about. Okay, so I have noticed this overwhelming trend, and I've seen a few different people do some videos on the topic, and I kind of need to throw my 2 cents in there and give you like a, well, now what then type of thing. Do you know what I'm saying? So what we're talking about today is the lack of people buying plants, the slow of the plant purchases in the community. And you know, maybe you've noticed, maybe you haven't. I know a lot of us have really noticed a significant downturn. I have plants here that were once super coveted that I can't get rid of to save my life. I had plants listed for like a while back for like ridiculously cheap because I just wanted to get them out, like varicosums for like $25, $45, depending on the size, that sort of scenario, right? And I can't sell them. Nobody wants to buy them. So I'm like, okay, well, whatever then. But anyway, so it's really kind of been trending that way lately. And so I just wanted to kind of talk about like why that is and what we can do and what I've been doing, because I haven't been buying plants either. I'm lumped right in there with you. So here's the thing. I think people have kind of gotten to a point where they've collected all they want to collect, or they have gone so obsessively collection focused that there's just no more room for any more plants in their collections. And I kind of think that I fall somewhere in between the middle of those, right? Is that I'm really happy with my collection right now. There's not really anything else that I'm like super looking for. There's a couple that I'm like, if I run across them, I'll probably pick them up, but I'm not like going out plant shopping on the weekends anymore and stuff like that. And goodness, I'm just starting right into the video. You know what? First, let's just finish the introduction. Wow, Nicki, did you forget how to do this? Apparently. So for those of you who are new, hi, hello, welcome. My name is Nicki. This is my channel, Plants, Pots, and Whatnots. And for my GFPs, you know who you are, my lovely, wonderful gluttons for punishment who keep coming back for more. It is amazing to see you as always. Before I get started for a second time, if you're not subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below. It would greatly help me out. And if you were subscribed, make sure that you're still subscribed, because YouTube has this cool fun thing now where it unsubscribes people from people's YouTube channels, and I don't know why. I have this one YouTube channel that I subscribe to that I constantly get unsubscribed from. Like, I think I've been subscribed to him for like 2 years, 3 years. And over that time, I've been unsubscribed to him 4 times. What is going on? Anywho, I digress. Let's just go ahead and jump into the rest of the video. Boy, I made a mess of that one, didn't I? Okay, now let's really dive back in. So anyway, as I was saying, I kind of fall somewhere in the middle of those two things. I've really curated the collection that I really, really love. I've got most, if not all, of the plants that I've really been searching for. And I don't really feel that need, like I said, to go out and like go to plant stores every weekend and constantly be searching on all the different websites for plant, like plant sellers, plant shops, stuff like that. and buy a whole lot more. Like I'm kind of like content with where I am. And I feel like a lot of people are kind of sitting there with me. Let me know down in the comments. Are you there with me? And so what do we do now? What is the goal? What is the end goal? What are we trying to accomplish here? And I think that's probably a different answer for everybody. For me personally, and I know a few others that are on the same line of thinking, is that I can't speak for we. When I say we, I mean the people that agree with me. I'm just gonna say I. Okay, me, I. So for me personally, I want to take the plants that I currently have and grow them to the best of my ability. I want to grow them huge. I want big statement plants that when you walk in the house, you're like, what the hell happened here? That's kind of my goal. You know what I mean? I've never been one, and if you've been with me a while, you know, I've never been one for like little plants. My friend Paula, who you know is my plant fairy godmother, Paula, she's a little plant kind of gal. She likes little plants, so like a whole bunch of little ones, which is why I think she likes Hoyas so much, and which is probably why I am not so much a fan of Hoyas. They have their time and their place in my collection, but for the most part, I like the big leaves, the big Dieffenbachia, the big Gloriosum, the big Thai constellation, all of these big plants that I have, these ginormous things behind me that will never fit in a frame no matter how hard I try. And so I've really been thinking a lot lately about how to just focus in on that, on making the plants I have the best they can be. So there's a few things that you can do and that I have been doing to kind of make that a reality. So we're going to break it down into a couple of steps here as we go along. And these are the steps that I'm going to take that I think will kind of get me to where I want to be in my current plant collection and my space. Okay, so let's dive into the steps. Okay, step one, you really need to decide what plants you want to keep. What's going to make you happy long term? Which plants could you really not see yourself living without? And what plants do you really think that you can make big and beautiful? Go on Google, go on Instagram, look up that particular plant, see what it looks like when it's mature and big, and see if that's something that you can see fitting into your space, if that's something that you're going to like when it gets bigger. So that's really what I've been doing. I have, and I think that's been part of my problem actually, is because I've been looking at some of my smaller plants. And when I mean smaller, I mean not the floor ones, but even some of the ones that are on this shelf here. And I know the potential of where they can be, how big they can get, how beautiful they can be. And I think that's kind of my problem with being able to let go of some of these. So I still think I have some work to do in that respect, but I'm getting there. Okay, so go do some research about what these plants that you think you want to keep look like when they get older, and then decide if that's something that fits into your vision of what you want your space to look like. The next step, step two, is to kind of plan out what you want your new, vision of your space to look like. I have my two shelves on either side, right? And then I've got this space in the middle, and this is in my front window. So that's the space that I'm talking about. I would really like to get to the point where I don't have shelves in my front window. I want in either corner, like some nice decorative looking lights, maybe like some sort of like larger shade that will reflect the light into like a wider, you know what I mean? Like disperse the light, outwards, not just direct it down so much. And then I kind of want to stagger my plants. So for example, have one big one in the corner. So for example, my variegated bird of paradise in the corner, and then like up on something, and then down a level, I'll have a couple more, and then down a couple more. Do Do you know what I'm saying? Do you get the visual of what I'm going with here? So I kind of want that sort of idea on either side. And then maybe a couple of the larger ones in the middle, just sitting on nice, like shorter, like a table or a stool or something decorative and, you know, that fits in with my, the whole theme of my living room is kind of like a coastal farmhouse sort of style. So I would like to find things that kind of fit in with that theme. So you just need an idea of what your end goal is. Like, what do you want your space to look like when you're done? So I've been really thinking a lot about that, and I think that's my goal. I also, and this is like such a pipe dream, but I'm eventually going to make it happen. So, and I think I've mentioned this before, but when you walk up my stairs, I have another one of those big IKEA shelves, and then I've got my cacti and succulents, I've got my Hoya, and then I have some of my aroids. What I would like to do is take the shelves out of that piece, and I want to build that unit into like a self-contained living wall. So, you know, install something on the back of it. On the bottom, I kind of want to build sort of like a self-contained, be like a terrarium tank sort of scenario. Maybe, you know, encase it with wood or something so it doesn't look so, you know, industrial or whatever. And then just have this beautiful wall. So when you open the front door and you come up the stairs into my home, there's just this gorgeous living wall. So it's kind of going to be like my living wall greenhouse, my IKEA Millsbo thing, but like on a larger scale. And then having it built into that shelving unit will allow me to be able to put lights on the top. It's going to give it a frame to sit in. So it's going to make it much easier to move if I ever need to do that. So that's, I'm so excited about that. Let me know if you guys think that would be cool. I think it would be pretty cool. That's the plan, whenever that happens to happen. Anyway, so figure out what your goal is, what your end goal is. Let's move on to the next step. Okay, so step 3, my plan is to really set my plants up for success. So what does that mean? That means I want to make sure they're in a great soil mix. So repotting, if I think so, if it hasn't been repotted in a while, I want to put it in a pot that I'm really going to enjoy long term. You know, if it needs a new moss pole, we're going to give them new moss poles. I have, by the way, speaking of moss poles, total side note. So I don't know if you've watched any of my moss pole making videos. So what I used to use for making my moss poles is like a bamboo stake. And then I would take the moss, kind of wrap it around that, and either put that plastic mesh around the outside, or way back in the beginning, I used to just use like a twine and wrap them up. And that works amazing in the short term. But recently I've had 2 or 3 of them actually snap, because that bamboo does not hold up under soil long term. So I was actually moving one of my plants and the bamboo actually snapped because of the weight. The plant was quite tall. I'm trying to remember which one it was. Anyway, the bamboo stake snapped and fell, and I think I caught the plant. I don't think the plant broke, which is why I probably can't remember what it was, what plant it was. Anyway, I was like mortified. So just a helpful little tip for you, when you're making your new moss poles, try to use something that's going to hold up in soil or dampness over time. Recently, I've been using PVC pipe, and that has been working perfectly. It doesn't break down, and it's really going to be like a more long-term solution. So there's just a little side note for you. Anyway, so new pots, new soil. Make sure that you're really doing your research on what that particular plant, now that we're just focusing on the plants that we really, really love and want to keep long-term, we want to make sure that the soil for them is as perfect as you can get it, right? And when I say you, I mean me, because this is my plan, right? Okay, so we get the plants all repotted, and then we move on to step number 4. So that is just about basic care going forward. and we've got all the plants where we want them. It looks beautiful. You have this vision of everything growing in the spots that they're in, and it's just bringing you so much joy and excitement for the day when they really start to take off. But how do we get them there? So that just comes down to the general care things that I do on a regular basis, but more focused, I think, because my collection's not going to be as big. I'm really going to be focusing on, you know, maybe 25 to 30 plants. I could even say that with a straight face. In this one space anyways. Really going to try, guys, I promise. So in this one space anyway, this is kind of like my thing. So I really want to make sure that I'm cleaning my leaves often. I posted a reel and an Instagram story, a reel and a YouTube story recently about like how I clean my leaves. And this is not what I use for pests. This is simply for getting the dust off, getting any hard water stains off. Now, especially when you're in a humid environment and there's dust involved, that humidity and that dust makes this sticky, disgusting film on your plants. So if you haven't seen that post, if I can, I'll try to link it up here, and it's like a minute long, and you can just kind of watch it, and that's how I clean my leaves. So I use vinegar and I use lemon juice and water. So I take a bowl of water and I put like maybe a couple tablespoons of vinegar, white vinegar in there, and I put like a capful of lemon juice. Stir that around. And that really helps cut any grease that's on the leaves from, you know, the air. It helps get all the hard water spots off, and it really does a great job. Now, for those of you who are sitting there going, oh my God, it's going to break down the leaf, blah, blah. No, because we're not leaving it sit on there indefinitely. What we're doing is we're taking a soft cloth, we're wiping down the leaves, making sure that it's wet enough that it's, you know, sitting on there to break up that stuff. You leave it sit like 2 minutes, 3 minutes tops, and then you take a dry cloth and you basically dry it and buff it out. And let me tell you, it makes such a huge difference, especially on those really like, on leaves like the chia pens. Oh, it looks so good on my big, huge green billieti. It works beautifully. I also use the same solution on all of my like velvety leafed philodendrons. It works fine. It doesn't damage the plant. I've been doing this, guys, for 3 years now, and it hasn't done any harm to any of my plants. So just keep that in mind. Anyway, that was total tangent. So anyway, general care. Cleaning leaves, because that's important. And if you can manage to do that once a month, and especially if you have a smaller collection, it's much more manageable. Clean your plant leaves once a month. It helps them photosynthesize, obviously, and it also greatly reduces your chances of any like major pest outbreaks, because like pests can't set up shop if they're just constantly being wiped away. So I know it's something that seems daunting to a lot of people, but like it's invaluable. And I think it's the one thing that people don't do the most. Does that make sense? I don't even know. It's the one thing that people seem to not want to do the most. And it's probably the one thing that is really the most important to do, is to keep your leaves clean. So go clean your leaves. Pause this for a second, set up your leaf cleaning station, and then turn it back on and just sit here and watch YouTube and clean your leaves, you know? Anyways, also, fertilizing. I think I mentioned this in my last video that, so with every watering that I do on a regular basis, I use liquid dirt, and it just gives the plant a little boost of you know, extra nutrients and that sort of thing. But is it enough to keep your plant healthy long term? And I am sorry to those die-hard liquid dirt. I love liquid dirt. I use it all the time. But is it enough? My answer to you for that question is no. For the majority of the plants that we collect, you know, our monsteras, our philodendrons, you know, syngoniums, those types of plants need an actual fertilizer. So this is the one that I am using currently. I also use Miracle-Gro, which I swear by. I love that stuff. They didn't have it when I went to grab it last time, so I picked up Schultz, but it's also really, really good. And you will notice a massive change in your collection if you just fertilize your plants. I promise you it will help. So for example, I did not heed my own advice. And for a long time, I completely just, you get so wrapped up in like, oh, I just need to get plants watered. And I already have my liquid water like pre-made. So it's just easy for me to go around and just water everything. And then it's like, oh, I got to fertilize. I'll do that next time I water. And then next time you water, it's just easier if you just use the, do you see where I'm going? So I had been slacking on actually fertilizing my plants for a while. And I really got looking around at some of my plants in the last like few weeks. And I was like, what is going on with them? They're not growing as big. Their leaves are getting smaller, which doesn't make sense. They've got lots of room in the pot for the roots. They're on moss poles. What's your problem? And then it hit me like a ton of bricks. Nicki, when was the last time you fertilized your plants? I don't know. So I went around and I made it, you know, my mission this one day a couple weeks ago, and I fertilized all of the plants with their respective fertilizers. I have fertilizer for cacti and succulents, and then I use Schultz for pretty much everything else. Or Miracle-Gro. So, if you've been with me a while, you'll know that my Thai constellation is a plant that, number one, tends to grow a little more slowly than pretty much any other monstera that I've ever known. And it throws out a leaf like once a year, maybe. And I've been waiting for this plant to throw out a new leaf for the longest time. And it was like longer than usual. I'm like, what is going on? So when I fertilized that plant a few weeks ago, 2 days ago, I was walking around, you know, stalking my plants as we do. And lo and behold, there's a new leaf growing. And I honestly attribute that to just giving that plant that extra boost of food that it needs, that nutrients and things that the plant requires to grow to its best potential. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, I'm making this so much longer than it needs to be, but it's me who's surprised, right? Anyway, so fertilize your plants, clean your plants. Make sure that you have air circulation. Plants need air movement around the leaves. I have, you can see this fan right here, this tower fan. It's hard to do this backwards. And I have that on oscillate, and it just blows air throughout my plants. About, I would say 15, 16 hours a day. It just, you know, moves air around. So that helps with so many different things, especially if you have a humid space. It helps to dry that out so that you're not dealing with like fungal issues and those kinds of things. And it also moves around humidity in the home. So the humidifier that I have on this side of the room is right here. This fan blows like this way and then this way. So when that humidifier is on and the fan blows, it kind of pushes the humidity across the front of that room. And so that is also helpful. But when you have like a mass amount of humidity in one place and then it just settles back down onto the leaves, that can create problems that we don't want. So air circulation is always something that you should remember. Lighting, make sure that your lighting, you have to tweak your lighting to make sure that your plants are getting the lighting they require. Not too much, not too little. It's a delicate balance. Some plants require more light than others. Some can take much more light. Monstera, you can throw a Monstera right in the window, like right there, and have light coming in on it. And those things, they love bright light, and they can take it. Whereas like whereas like a philodendron, for example, a gloriosum, a glorious, melanochrysum, you know where I'm going with that. They can't take that direct light like a Monstera can. So do your research on lighting for specific plants and, you know, kind of place them in areas that will suit that lighting. Or if you need extra lighting, then you can do that too. I plan on actually putting almost like a lighting system across the top. It's really hard to explain, but it's going to look really cool. I have a vision in my head. Anywho, so we have set them up for success. We have figured out where we want everything. We've got our vision in mind, and now we're going to go forth and make our plants as healthy as we possibly can, and just really focus in on the plant care and those particular plants and grow them to the best of their ability. That's my goal right now. And I'm so excited about it, actually. And as soon as Christmas is over and I take my Christmas tree down, so probably the weekend after New Year's is when my tree usually comes down, I'm going to start that front window. I will film it for you guys. It's going to be a big job, and I don't know what I'm going to do with those shelves. So if you're local and you're looking for shelves, I may be getting rid of them. I haven't decided 100% yet, but we'll see. Anyway, so I think kind of back to the very beginning of why I even brought this up is, you know, I think maybe a lot of other people, and you can let me know if this is you or not, are really just trying to refocus their energy on the plants that they have and growing them to the best of their ability, learning all there is to know about those plants in particular, and just making those look the healthiest and the best they can. So I know that's my goal. Anyway, that's my 2 cents on the whole decline of plant purchases as of recently. I'd like to know if you've noticed that, if that's something that you've been doing yourself. Have you been buying less plants? Have you been trying to refocus your energy on the plants that you do have? Have you just been getting rid of plants? Are you over it? I'm assuming if you're over plants, you're not watching this video, or maybe you are. I don't know. Let me know. I'd be really curious to hear all of your thoughts and comments down below, what you think about this topic, what you think about the current state of the plant community in regards to purchasing plants, because that's a whole nother kettle of fish that I have so many things to say about, that whole other side of the plant community. And it's funny because it's never really been something that I've spoke on before, but I do have a lot of thoughts on it. Let me know if you want to hear my thoughts, if enough people want to hear my perspective on the plant community, then maybe I'll do a video on that, but we'll see. So that is the video for today. It's just really, honestly, today's video was just a culmination of a whole bunch of different care videos that I've ever done, but really that are things that will help you reach that end goal of these big, beautiful plants, if that's your thing, if that's what you want. And, you know, getting your collection to a place where you're happy with it and you don't feel the need to go out plant shopping all the time, and, you know, that old chestnut. Okay, I hope you enjoyed today's video. I know I didn't show any plants. I didn't, you know, do anything, but it was a nice sit down, you know, chit-chatty kind of video. And it's just been something that I've been thinking about lately. And I thought maybe you guys might as well, or might have been as well. Oh my God, I'm just going to go. I'm just going to go. Okay. Thank you guys so much for liking and watching and commenting and subscribing. If you're not subscribed already, please consider hitting that subscribe button. It is a huge help for my channel. I really do appreciate it. Also, go ahead and follow me over on Instagram. It is a definite okay time over there. I show you pictures of plants, new leaves that are coming in, when I move things around, my pets. I show all the time on there, Eli and Ivy. Everybody seems to like when I post pictures of my pets. And yeah, it's just a fun time. So go check that out over there. I would like to wish you all an amazing and wonderful and lovely day, night, week, month, and year. And because it's right around the corner, happy holidays. Whatever it is you celebrate, have an amazing vacation, have an amazing holiday, and go enjoy yourself. You deserve it. I love you all to bitty bits, and I will see you in the next one. Mwah!